G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, you are here today because it's Super Rugby round 12 and it's a fight for the top 6. Yes, since last year, it is only going to be 6 teams qualifying to the final, which is much better. I thought they should have done that last year when there was 12 teams before the Melbourne Rebels was, removed. But yeah, top 6 is much more competitive. It's much more meaningful for all the teams competing for a spot representing, their region in the final. And yeah, Blues, after winning this one, just got themselves up to the 6th spot after a pretty, ordinary, let's say, start to their season. And the Western Force as well, always difficult to win in, away at Eden Park. I'm actually pretty proud of the performance from the Western Force players. They didn't just, give up and, start kicking goals. They stuck to their guns, and they built persistent pressure throughout the entire game. And it was, all the way till late in the second half before they finally started to running out a bit of a steam. And the Blues bench, especially that scrum regime, something that I talked about in the preview, way too much for the Western Force right from the get-go. I thought the scrum was pretty dominant for the Blues as well. And was able to build on the back of that scrum penalties, and then just, 1-2 punch, you get the scrum penalty, and then you build that into some sort of, haymaker play out of Beauden Barrett. And the Blues also able to get themselves through with a bonus point win, 40 points to 19. Now, let's talk about the players first before I talk about the little rant on the referee, Ben O'Keefe. Actually, let's talk about Ben O'Keefe right now. Once again, Ben O'Keefe has been announced as the Lions Tour referee for, I think, the first test, and his performance has been pretty poor the whole season so far. And again, I thought he would have been putting on a better performance after being announced as the Lions referee. He just, there were times where knock-ons were happening right in front of him, and he's just, not seeing it, and only for a try to be scored and a TMO to go back, 2 minutes and say, hey, there's a knock-on that happened right in front of you, Ben. You just let it play. And yeah, really, really bad. It looks like to me, he's almost just phoning it in. I don't know what's going on with him. He's just yeah, whatever. It's almost like, when something happens, he's just he's micro slipping on the field. Things happen, it just doesn't happen. He didn't see it. It just he's falling asleep, literally. And then the TMO goes back and it's oh yeah, that looks like a clear knock on. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Let's go back for a scrum. It was so bad. And that didn't just happen once. For the entire game, there were just times he's just that is obviously, there was one where I think Harry Porter bumped into Beauden Barrett, and so he bumped into Tui Pelotu, and then bumped into Beauden Barrett, who was in the air, and then he gave out a penalty against Harry Porter, and I'm just clearly Tui Pelotu was blocking, and Beauden Barrett was kind of taken off here because of the blocking from Tui Pelotu, and they had to go to the TMO to figure that out when Ben O'Keefe was right there, seeing the guy just getting checked, running into Beauden, running into the high ball, and it's just really, really bad. Really bad. I don't know what is going on with Ben O'Keefe. He's, he was a lot better referee last year, and this season, I don't know. Is he having some ADD issues? Does he need to start taking some? Did he run out of ADD medication that he can't focus on what's happening right in front of him? Anyway, let me know your thought. Not sure what's happening. Anyway, so let's talk about the players. Beauden Barrett had a pretty good game. Like I said, the forwards did a lot of the hard work getting the penalty advantage from the scrum. And then there was a lot of disruptions as well from the Blues forwards, a lot of physicality just to try to slow the ball down from the Western Force. And with those penalty advantage that Beauden Barrett was given the free rein to make a play, and did some nice, beautiful crossfield kicks, and it's starting to look like that old, 27-year-old Beauden Barrett again. But yeah, not quite able to get himself to score a try. He had an opportunity, but it's just good to see that he's trying at least and starting to show some of those toolkits that we are very much enjoyed in the past. So that was really good from Beauden. Speaking of another veteran, Curdy Beale was on the field tonight. First up, he looked sharp and fast, okay? That's the thing that was really surprised about. Unlike a lot of these players are getting to their, mid-30s, they start looking slower. James O'Connor looks slower than he was, five years ago, maybe. And then Quay Cooper clearly looks slower than he was, 10 years ago. And then even Bowden Barrett look a lot slower than he was maybe even like 2 or 3 years ago nowadays. And Curly he looked snappy. Like, when he got the ball, he looked snappy and he looked dangerous. He didn't quite get, I was expecting a bit more of a playmaking role from him, but Donaldson kind of just handled that. But he did get a try tonight, and boy, I was pretty happy to see that big smile of him when he went over to try line. So that was really, really happy, and that was worthy of the mission tonight for me. Just to see Curly score that try. But hey, I was surprised. I was genuinely impressed by how agile he looked on the field, and I thought overall he looked like he was much those fast twitching fibers was much better than a lot of the the players in similar age group as he is. A lot of them. Yeah, I think I was quite impressed, to be honest. I was surprised to see how good a form he was actually in. The Western Force was also really good. The lineouts, they backed themselves in the lineouts for the entire season, and they did it again this season. They didn't just kick penalty goals, which I was really happy about. They knew they had the bonus point was something that was important. They need to work towards, and then they fought for it the whole game. There were time in the first half where there was the Blues was doing really good, disrupting the breakdowns, and the Western Force wasn't able to score for like maybe 10-15 minutes, just camped inside the Blues half, and then they kept at it, and then eventually was able to score before halftime, which I was really happy about. They didn't just go, let's just take the 3, and then make the scoreboard look a bit better, and then walk away, and then letting the Blues come back at them with more, with opportunities to score back against them. So that was really, really, really good from the Western Force. Outside of that, yeah, Scrum struggled a little bit. Rico Ioane looked quite good tonight. I thought probably the best performance I've seen him this season. In the right positions, much more energetic. Like in the last few weeks, I almost felt like he didn't want to play anymore. Looked like he was burnt out. Looked more energetic. Looked more sharper. Was in the right positions a lot. Made a nice line break that set up for a try. Followed up with the try for the Blues as well. So really, really good there. The Western Force, I think one thing hurt them a little bit was the breakdown urgency. The work slowed down a lot by the Blues, and then there was a little bit of handling issue everywhere. Especially early in the game, got better later on. Wasn't able to get that consistent forward pressure because the handling just not quite snappy enough. You almost looked like the Western Force had to play just a tad slower to make sure they don't drop the ball. It looks almost like that to me, right? Like, it's almost like if they try to turn that speed up a little bit more and then they just start dropping the ball. So they all have to just slow down a tiny bit to keep that ball in hand happen for the game. So again, just work to do off the field to improve on that. But overall, I'm pretty happy about the Western Force determination against the Blues at Eden Park. And Blues, if you're a Blues fan, definitely looking good heading into the finals once again. So let's have a look at the stats of the game. 6 tries to 3. Like I said, Western Force actually has way more run meters, 519 to the Blues 308. 142 carries to the Western Force to the Blues 81. 17 turnovers conceded for the Blues, 18 turnovers conceded against the Western Force. Like I said, plenty of opportunities for the Western Force. Handling errors and breakdown disruptions really hurt them throughout the game. 195 tackles made by the Blues, 21 missed tackles, really good completion rate. 95 tackles made by the Western Force, 24 missed tackles. The tackle was also a little bit bad. Harry Porter, really brilliant as a ball runner, as someone under challenging the high ball. But yeah, just lack a little bit, I think, in the defense as well. 37 kicks in play for the Blues, 1 missed goal from Bowden, 29 kicks for Western Force, 1 missed goal from Donaldson as well, 1,089 kick meters from the Blues, 766 for the Western Force. Lineouts, 3 losses for the Blues, 2 losses for the Western Force out of 14. Blues had 6 lineouts for themselves, 1 scrum loss for the Blues, 0 scrums there was 0 scrum feed. Wow, there was 0 scrum feed for the Western Force. There was 1 scrum loss for, I think it was an early, it was a pullback or something in the second half for the Western Force. But overall, the Blues were overwhelmingly dominant in that scrummaging. And that just shows you how good the ball handling is for the Blues. Didn't really drop the ball at all. Not a single scrum that was given out to the Western Force. 10 penalties conceded for the Blues, 8 for the Western Force overall. Not too bad in terms of discipline for either, for both teams. Now let's have a quick recap of the game. Yeah, so I actually noted here, like 7 minutes into the game, Dr. Papali'i actually got a turnover right away, but he had both his hands on the ground. Very textbook penalties, scraped back onto the ball as it was getting cleaned out, and Ben O'Kee was right there. Said, "That was okay. Penalty to you, Ben. Penalty to you, to Dalton." So anyway, 15 minutes of the game, there was a blue scrum for a blue scrum. They basically, after there was a drop ball from the Western Force, I think. Lots of pick and goes from the Blues, and then Marcel Grenata pick and go in for the try. So there was a blue scrum inside the Western Force. They went the blind side, and then Marcel Grenata followed up with a pick and go try. They will look like there was a Western Force player was taken out, but the referee was okay with that. 19 minutes in the game, Curly Bill caught a high ball and he kind of like slipped and leading to a turnover. And then once again, Blues were building from that turnover into the 22. Beauden Barrett, picks out a decoy runner and then, throws the ball behind. I think it was Rico decoy. He throws the ball behind to number 14. Ran through a nice gap, center field. 12 points to 0. 27 minutes into the game, the Western Force built a lot of phases. Probably, the Blues wasn't able to exit out of their own half for a very long time. Eventually, 36 minutes. There was a penalty for the Western Force. It went for the line out. More Cesano winning for the try. 12 try for him. 7 points to 12 going to half time. Second half immediately starts. The Blues came out firing. Riku Ioane cuts open a little hole. And then the Blues just piled in. There was the Beauden kind of got the ball at the back of the line. And there was like 5-6 players just rushing up. To the defense, the rush defense. And he threw the ball. He flung the ball over the top of everybody. All the way out to the win to AJ Lamb, who went in for the try. 9 points to 7. 45 minutes again. There was a 5-meter line out for the Western Force. Once again, they piled in. There was a penalty advantage for disrupting the line out. The ball went out. There was crossfield by Donaldson. This went to Greeley, who got the ball. And then he, back flick past the ball to Curly Bill, went into the corner for the try. Big smiles all around. 19 points to 14. 53 minutes into the game. So 51 minutes, there was a try to AJ Lamb that was disallowed. Clearly, Funaki dropped the ball out of the scrum, and then the referee just played on. Ben O'Keefe was right there staring at it, probably having a micro, sleep on the field right there. 53 minutes in the game. McQuannell, the big log, goes in for the try. The Blues had another scrum. There was just there was a crash ball. Funaki got the ball, and just there was a dummy runner, and he picked the inside runner to McQuannell, who went in for the try. 26 points to 14. 60 minutes into the game, there was there was another Blues attack, penalty advantage. Beauden Barrett crossfield kick to Forbes, who gets the ball and shrugs off a defender, winning for the try. 13 points to 14. 68 minutes of the game, the Western Force backed themselves once again for the line out more. They went for the line out, they went for more, just runs over for the try. They looked like there was a blocking, but the Ben O'Keefe said that the player had been on the ground, and then before he, went across for the block from the line out, and he said it was okay. So 33 points to 19 there. 72 minutes, there was another scrum for the Blues. Beauden Barrett, another crossfield kick. Forbes looks like he grounded the ball, but he knocked it on, so no try. And finally, 75 minutes, another scrum right in front of the Force goal line. And these scrums were from penalties for the Blues. So they went for another scrum, and more pick and goes later. Berry, whatever you call him, goes in for the try for the Blues from a pick and go. 40 points to 19, the final score. Big win for the Blues, and building towards the finish line, building towards the playoffs. And let me know if you're happy about this performance from the Blues, and then if you're happy about the Western Force. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys later for more reviews. Cheers.